with a lesson on how to make a diptych in Photoshop. So once you've opened Photoshop, you're going to go to File, you're going to go to New, and for the most part, we want to make these 10 inches wide by 8 inches tall at 300 pixels per inch. Make sure it's RGB color and 8-bit, and then you can go ahead and say OK. Then once we have our document, if you don't have rulers up, you can go get those under View and then hit Rulers. And then if I click my mouse in the ruler area and drag, I'm going to just add some guides to the halfway mark. They're at 5 inches and then another at 4. That's going to help me align my picture. The next thing I'm going to do is bring in some pictures. So I'm going to do 2 horizontal pictures first. So I'm going to grab my picture and drag it into my icon. And from there, I'm going to get the Move tool on the top left hand of my toolbox. I'm just going to drag it into my new composition. So the problem is this picture is too big. So the shortcut to make a picture smaller is Command T. So I'm going to hit that, and what it does is it gives me these little binding box. If I go to the corner and I hold Shift and keep holding Shift, what it's going to do is it's going to allow me to make my picture smaller, and then I'm going to hold Shift again and keep holding Shift as I bring it to the halfway mark. I can let go and hit Enter to set my picture, and if I hit that Command T option again, what it does is it brings up those binding boxes, which is great because it also shows me where the halfway mark of my picture is. So if I align that with the halfway mark and again hit enter, it is now perfectly halfway. Over here you'll see that it's my layer number 2, which is fine. I'm going to click back on my desktop and grab my second picture, again dragging it to the icon. And then with my Move tool selected, drag and drop it into my composition. Again, the picture is too big, so I'm going to Command T it. Okay, so I have a problem here. I can't see the corner binding box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out. To zoom out, I'm going to hit Command minus, and I'm going to make this window bigger again. And then again, going to the corner, holding Shift the whole time. I'm just going to drag this over so I know when I get to the halfway mark. Perfect. I'm going to move this up all in one go. And now to zoom back in to see if those are truly level, I'm going to go Command plus a couple times to zoom back in. And I'm going to hit Enter to set that. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. It looks pretty good. So this is my third layer, really. I'm just using my up and down arrow keys on my keyboard just to, I think, make that a little bit better. Now I do have one other option. What I could do is just leave a tiny little bit of a space by selecting both layers and just moving them slightly apart, giving this sort of gap between the two pictures. That's an option. Or if I want to, I can bring them back right to the center so that there is no space and that they are perfectly flush. When I'm done and happy with my composition, I'm going to go File, Save As. I'm going to call this on my desktop. And you want to make sure that you leave the suffix there. And I'm going to call this my horizontal diptych. And to hand it in, I really only need the JPEG from you, so you can save that. If you want to save the PSD, you are welcome to. You can leave it as a Photoshop document, and what it'll do is it'll keep all your guides, which you can use basically as a template for future if you like. But like I said, for marking and for handing in, I only need the JPEG, and then you can hit save. Make sure you crank the quality to the best quality, and then that will be good and ready to print. Now that's all fine and dandy. What if you have other sizes or orientations of pictures? So I'm going to go back to Photoshop. I'm going to go File, New. I'm going to make it the exact same size. And I'm going to do the same thing with my guides, dragging them from the ruler into the middle, finding the center. But this time I'm going to grab one vertical and one horizontal, which is obviously trickier. So I'm going to bring it in. And I'm going to bring my other picture, my other horizontal picture, bring this one in as well. So I've got my two pictures loaded up in my composition. I'm going to go and zoom out because I know I'm going to need the space to see and to work. I'm going to go Command T on that first image, and I'm just making them smaller, oops, and aligning that center binding box. Now with my diptychs, what I like about the composition is when they have a really strong upper and lower margin. So what I'm doing is not making them the same size. What I'm trying to do is make sure that the top and the bottom margins align. I'm getting pretty close there. So I'm going to need to make this one a little bit smaller. Hit enter, go back to my original layer. Oh, I need to move this over to make sure I'm not cutting any of it off. Continue to make this smaller. And just keep going back and forth and back and forth, unfortunately, until you get them so that they're not overlapping too much and that you get that strong vertical and that strong horizontal line. So I just keep going back and forth here. Again, this is an opportunity that if you want, you can leave that little bit of a gap if you want. It's still a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to bring it down a little bit more, holding shift. Hit enter, and that looks pretty good to me. So I've now left a gap, which is fine. If I wanted to, I could try to sneak this over a little bit. I want to make sure that that's flush with the side. So I can either have them totally flush or I can leave that gap, whatever I prefer. So I'm going to go save as, and this is great because this is my one vertical and my one horizontal. So one vert, one horizontal template. And again, I can say that as a template as a Photoshop document, or to hand in, I can save it as a JPEG for submissions. Again, making sure that it's the highest quality. Okay, our last option is two verticals. So let's do that one. Grab our Photoshop, File, New, 8x10. Again, with our center of our composition, clicking and dragging from the rulers. Move tool, drag and drop. I'm going to zoom out real quick, that Command minus key, and then Command T to get my binding boxes. And again, because these are both the exact same picture orientation, this is easier. So I just need to find the center of my picture, and it doesn't go red when you get it, which is nice. And then my second picture is here. Going to drag and drop it into the icon, move it from the document, Command T. And again, just zooming in to make sure that they are truly flush, and they're not, so that's why we always zoom in, because it's hard to see from far. So I'm going to Command T this and make this a little bit bigger, because for some reason it seems to be a little bit off. Holding shift always when making things bigger or smaller. Hit enter, and I'm just going to move it over a tiny bit. And there we go, two vertical compositions all ready to go. And I'm going to go File, Save As. I call it two vertical. And again, I could say that as a template for future use as a Photoshop document, or for submission for marking, you can send it to a JPEG, hit save, and then hand those in to me over the network or over Dump Drive. All done. Thank you.